My name is Nicholas Kern. I'm the founder and CEO of Numbers for Nonprofits. We've been doing these Breakfast with Benefits series since the inception of Numbers for Nonprofits as a way to bring community members together and learn from an expert in a particular subject. Today we welcome Jamie Perez of Beyond Words Productions, LLC. Jamie is a former TV news reporter who has turned her talent and passion into her business. She focuses on heartfelt and emotional storytelling for businesses and nonprofits, which I got to experience firsthand at the Do Good Wisconsin Gala this past February. She's also created videos for a few of our clients, such as Omega, Geo's Garden, and Chrysalis. Please welcome Jamie. We are excited to hear about your art of video storytelling. Thank you.
Thanks for the intro, Nick.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks everyone for waking up early and being here. Storytelling and videography are passions of mine, and I love helping other people learn like how to be better storytellers because it's so important and it's how people relate to one another in today's world. And video is so important, and it's really important to the growth and brand awareness of your organization. So I love helping people just kind of realize their potential and tell these stories that otherwise would not be told. So I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to kind of walk you guys through to kind of go through that storytelling stuff, and then I have some real examples of videos that I've actually done for nonprofits, and one of them is an individual, so he's not part of an organization, but just to kind of show you different storytelling examples that you guys can all in the nonprofit world apply to your own organizations as well. So I am going to share my PowerPoint with you. All right, from the beginning. Okay, so like I said, my name is Jamie and I own Beyond Words Productions. Really quick story about how my business came to be, or the name of my business came to be. So my mom actually came up with that because she knows that I love to tell heartfelt stories. So when I was trying to think of a business name, she was like, "Well, if a picture says 1,000 words, your videos will leave people beyond words." So that's where the name Beyond Words Productions came from. And as Nick mentioned, I formerly was a TV news reporter. I did that for about 6 years. And I loved the days that I got to tell heartfelt, impactful stories. And I really got to get very good at that. And that's kind of what I gravitated towards, no matter what topic I was given, whether it was hard news, soft news. Regardless of what this assignment was, I always tried to make it relatable to people, so that because I wanted people to watch, I wanted to give people something to care about. And storytelling is how you do that. So we learned a big difference between simply doing a report, so just a regular video, versus telling a story. So that's kind of where my love of storytelling stems from. I left my job in news in September of 2021 and then started my business that November, getting to tell these types of stories full time. So one of the reasons why I kind of went off and did this entrepreneurial path is because I see so many nonprofits, for profits, just organizations in general, not really knowing like how to create video, or just creating video that is very generic, doesn't give people a reason to capture emotion, doesn't give people a reason to care. And that's because most people don't learn the skills of storytelling in the same way that I got to. So I really wanted to be able to share my knowledge with people and help people get better at video storytelling. The other thing is, a lot of organizations focus on what they offer for products and services. But that is not how you relate to people. That is not something that gives people something to remember by. People relate to people. There are lots of studies that show that even if you just post photos or videos on social media, if you have a human face in it, it is more likely to get more response than if you just have an object or something, not emotive in there. So I always tell people that your stories should always have a face to it and something that they can relate to. And I love giving, if any of you watch America's Got Talent, this is the example that I give of why and how this works. So even if you don't watch AGT, you've probably seen some viral videos on your social media accounts. And there's a reason why these videos go viral. So whenever they're any talent show really is bringing up somebody that you know is going to get the golden buzzer or is going to have like this amazing talent. They always show a video giving the backstory of this person. It's always something emotional that makes you care about this person, that makes their talent that much more incredible. Because even if they aren't like the most amazing person at that craft, their backstory of the fact that they're even able to get on stage and do this makes that video go viral. It makes you care. And so that's why when those videos do go viral, they're often the ones that are the golden buzzers that make people cry. It's because people can relate and it brought out an emotion. So those are super successful videos. And I just love to give the AGT example because a lot of talent shows use this emotional storytelling strategy so that their videos can be seen by as many eyes as possible. This is how you stand out. So I've told many people, whether you are a nonprofit, a for-profit, an individual, this is what is going to capture people's attention and make people hear your stories and how you're different from other people. I always say that when there are thousands of other people that are doing the exact same thing that you're doing or very similar work, why should I go with your organization? Why should I choose you? And it's, you have to tell your story, put it out there and give it to an audience so that they can relate to you. So I tell this to realtors, bankers, life coaches, right? Where there's 1,000 people that are doing this. But if you tell your story in a way that can relate to people, like this is how you capture certain audiences. So the benefits of implementing video to your organization is that people get to meet you. That kind of goes back to the point of having a human face to relate to on camera. It's an emotional connection, so it shows what words cannot. Video is so much more valuable, especially like when you see them on websites. If you have a video at the front center of your homepage that is like a short 2-minute video that can help capture people's attentions without them having to scroll, without them having to do any work at all, that is a really good way to increase the amount of leads you're getting, increase brand awareness of the work you're doing. It's much more effective than just having an about us page with a bunch of text written there, because people don't read, they skim, and you want to make sure that people are getting all the information, the important information about your organization as possible. Video is an investment in the skills of storytelling with a greater return. And I'll give you an example of that later with a video that I'll show you. People learn through visuals. This is kind of going back to my point of people don't really read. So you can have all the text and all the stories out there that you want, but you want to make it as easy as possible for people to digest this information. So simply clicking play on a video is much more likely to be digested by a consumer than having pages and pages of information on your website. It compels people to take action. So all your videos should have some sort of purpose, whether you're trying to like fundraise, hire people, just promote an event, whatever the need is. All of them will have some sort of call to action to it. And then it gives people what they care about, which is authenticity. So a lot of times, at least on my socials, if any of you are already following me, you'll hear me say that I strongly discourage people from using scripts because it's not authentic. It's not coming from the heart. And I really like to give that raw, authentic emotion in videos. And then it gives people a front row seat to the most valuable asset of your business, which is you. Okay, so just to back that up, to make you aware that I am not just making these up. So there is a study done by Wiseowl that where 94% of participating businesses say that when they created these types of stories, these types of videos, it helped increase people's understanding of what they do and why they do it. 84% say it helped increase traffic to their website, say that they probably posted those videos on social and then it directed them to learn more on their website. 81% say it helped generate leads. 80% say it helped increase the amount of time spent on their website. So for all those folks out there that are trying to increase their SEO, this is a great way to do it. Okay, so I do want to show you some examples of videos. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can pull up my pages for you. Okay. And then you guys are going to let me know if you can't hear it. So this video is one that I made actually when I first started my business. So this was December 2021. April, nod your head if you can see it. Okay, cool. Yes. So portions of this video I did not personally shoot, and other portions I did. And by the end of the video, you will understand why I didn't shoot parts of it. But don't pay attention to that so much. Just it's the story that I really want you to focus on. So I will go ahead and play this for you. And then April, interrupt me if you can't hear it.
Colin is our first son. He was born on Thanksgiving Day.
Colin was a little bundle of happiness, would love to smile and run and play.
Colin was about 14 months old and got the diagnosis of Sanfilippo syndrome. Dr. Rice called us on October 12th, 2008 at 6:03 p.m. I feel like it's the day that our world fell apart and collapsed as we know it. Sanfilippo syndrome is a rare genetic disorder. It affects 1 in 100,000 children. It's considered to be like a childhood Alzheimer's, where a child will develop normally until ages 4 or 5, and then will eventually lose all of their skills. So he at one point could talk, and now he no longer talks. They lose their ability to walk, to eat, and eventually have trouble breathing on their own. And life expectancy is in the mid-teens. We made a decision early on that we would give Colin the best life that we could.
We had come to learn about Gio's garden, and we thought, well, let's give this a try, right? This is Colin loves people. He's very busy, and that sounds like the exact type of match for what Gio's is. And Colin clearly liked it very much. Colin also has always loved kind of college-age girls. And so at the time, that really worked out really well with the staff that they had. And so he took a real liking to the staff. Grew to love it so much that, many times we would drop him off to go into Gio's, and he walked through the door, I'm home. Well, everything he said and did was just showed how much he loved going there.
And I was a respite care provider in 2012 when Colin was attending Gio's garden. He was loud and rambunctious and hard to keep up with. Every time he'd come to Gio's, he would say, I'm home, and walk in like he owned the place. And he was just at ease and comfortable. It really did fill his life with joy and adventure. And he was accepted and loved.
And we couldn't drive westbound on the Beltline without him asking to go to Gio's. And he would get very mad at us if we did not take the exit we were meant to take to go to Gio's. It helped push his development as far as we could get it. It just improved his quality of life so much because it just made him so happy. With special needs kids, you can't just hire the teenage girl down the street because you just can't. So it was a way for us. We ended up having a date night every Tuesday, which pretty much no other couple can. I mean, not many couples can say they can get a date night every night. But we got to be together and know that Colin was safe and happy, and that's kind of what really mattered.
This is the lion that Colin got when he graduated from Gio's garden.
And what do we call him?
Gio.
What did Gio mean to Colin?
What he did there.
Dr. Rice sat us down and discussed that he was giving us all the signs that he wasn't going to be able to fight it. So we made the call to withdraw life support and let him go. He didn't last long after we took the breathing tube out, which is hard, but yet also was kind of like, that just proved how sick he really was. I feel like we grieve the loss of our son daily.
That makes me happy when he had a good opportunity to have his time until Sanfilippo took over. I actually liked Colin so much. I loved him. He was my favorite member of the family.
It's hard to explain, but you could tell he loved it and loved every second of it. And we are so blessed that we had that opportunity to be able to give him. I mean, I think it's a big reason why we're still involved with Geos. I'm on the board of directors. We can't let it go. We always want Colin's legacy to live on through the people he's met, and then helping Geos and still supporting Geos and doing whatever we can for them as a way to give back to Colin and to helps ease the pain a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes. So that is probably one of, not necessarily like in terms of visuals, one that I'm the most proud of, but in terms of the story and the effect that it had, that is to this day one of the most successful videos that I did. So when that video was played at their fundraiser that December, they raised $125,000 that night. People care about this type of stuff, and this is a story that, like, you heard Hillary say, like, she's a board member of this organization. So if you didn't get from the video, Geo's Garden is a respite care center for children with special needs. This story would have otherwise never been told, right? Because this is just a board member's story of how she even discovered Geo's Garden. This is essentially just a long testimonial, right? And when we're talking about storytelling for your organizations, the most important part of a story is character development, making people care about someone or some people in a story that is very, very hyper-focused on that individual's story. I usually tell people, so you probably noticed that this video was like 5.5 minutes long. I usually tell people that video should be kept to 2 minutes or less. So this was an exception because when I do videos for people that are 2 minutes or less, that's usually because they're sharing them on social media or on their website, where the videos need to be kept short to keep people's attention. This video, however, was played at a fundraiser. It was for a specific event where you had a crowd of people who were there already and you already had their attention. So I wanted to let the story breathe and give you time to really, really care about all of the details of this family story, about what this organization did for this little boy's life when he was here. The other thing that I wanted to point out about this is that I know that not all organizations are going to be like, well, we don't have, a heartfelt story like that. And you don't need to necessarily have this deeply emotional story to make a video like this. Like, this is just an example of a story that otherwise would not have been told that will make you care about an organization. You notice that there was zero information about the products and services that they provide. I didn't show the facility at all. And that's probably the difference in a lot of videos that people are making today. A lot of nonprofits would we want to see our space and we want to show the staff members and all this stuff. And that's fine if you do it in a crafty, creative way. But I'm just showing you an example of how a story can be told without highlighting the organization itself at all, right? So, yeah, that's just the first example that I wanted to show you. The second one is another nonprofit organization called Free Bikes for Kids. And this was a story that we did because they were trying to use it with a grant application. So I know that a lot of nonprofits here do the grant application stuff. So this will be a good one for you guys to kind of take notes on and follow to see how we told this story. And I also understand that a lot of nonprofits have privacy issues where the work that you're doing, you can't really show the clients' faces or say people's names in certain situations. So this is an example of how you can still tell those stories and get the message across without actually having people's rights or privacies necessarily violated. So I will play this one for you.
My parents both dropped out of high school at age 16, and my dad went to prison like 2 years later. And so we never rose above the poverty level. My mom worked all the time, but someone gave her an old rusty bicycle for me. And you know what, in my eyes, that bicycle was beautiful, because for me, it meant freedom. It meant I could be out riding with all the other kids in my neighborhood. And eventually, that bike got me to my first job, which was mowing lawns when I was really young. And so it also meant opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. A while back, one of our amazing volunteers, her name is Mary, she had texted me and said she had found this mom and a son that were living out of their car. They were homeless. And while the mom went to work in the summer, the son, Dion, had nowhere to go. So he just walked around, really high risk situation developing. And she asked me if we could get him a bicycle. I was like, absolutely. And then Mary checked in with that family regularly and texted me back like a week or two later and said, you won't even believe it, but Dion now has found a full-time job and he's using his bicycle to get to that job. Bicycle is transportation. Bikes can transform lives. And that's just one example of the hundreds of stories that we hear. You know, I've talked with kids who will tell me that, you know, having their bike gives them a place to go that's not stressful. Maybe they have a stressful home life. And so they're out riding their bicycle, they're feeling the wind in their hair, and it almost feels like the stress is just kind of being blown off their shoulders. We call it pedal power. And it really, the way we make all of this happen here is through fundraising. We have come across some that say, you know, we just don't see a bicycle as impacting a person's life that much. A lot of people, they had their bike and it was just a recreational toy. It was fun for them. But for myself and others, this was a lifeline for us. It's physical health and wellness, but it's also mental health and wellness. There's just so many ways that a bicycle can affect a person.
Okay, so that video, I'm still working with Christy to get like the specific like numbers as to how I help, but she specifically requested me to make that video for her so she could use it in her grants application. So I don't know if she has used it since we made it or has applied to grants yet since we did that. So I'm still kind of waiting for her to let me know. But she and some of the other board members that I'm in contact with have told me that ever since that video was created, they've gotten more bike donations than they've ever received after people understood what they were doing with these bikes. I mean, the name essentially says that, you know, we free bikes for kids, but there is that story made people more compelled to be like, okay, well, my bike's just sitting in my garage, like I'm just going to give it to them because I know that they're going to use it for a good cause. The other thing that I wanted to point out about this video is that you notice that in the beginning, and I'll kind of make this point a little bit later in my PowerPoint too, but her first soundbite was my mom dropped out of high school and my dad went to prison. So when you're creating videos, the first 10 seconds is so important because people's attention spans are so short that even when you are scrolling on social media, if something's not catching your attention right away, you're scrolling right past. And the same thing happens with videos. You want to make sure that you have compelling sound bites at the first 10 seconds. Like, don't waste that. That is like a crucial moment in time of your video. So make sure it captures people's attention. When people, you know, see this come up on their feed and the first thing that they hear on a free Bikes for Kids video is my parents dropped out of high school and my dad went to prison, it kind of makes you go like, what does that have anything to do with bikes? Right. But it's captivating because people are, like, as much as we don't want to be, people are naturally magnetized towards certain traumas, certain negative events. So starting with that to give context to how a bike impacted Christy's life as the executive director was a good way to start and open up this story. So when Christy came to me and, you know, wanted to do this video, and this may apply to a lot of you as well who are in the process of grant applications. So she had applied to a grant that she didn't get. And she knew somebody on the deciding board and asked them why she didn't get it. Like, what could I have done better? And they were the ones that actually told her, like, I just don't see how a bike can be that impactful. And so she knew that she's like, okay, I got to start like making videos and get myself more well known out there because again, these are stories that, like, if you don't share these stories, like people don't know. And if you're just of the mindset or of the upbringing where a bike was just a recreational toy for you, you might not realize how much of a lifeline this is for people. Like this boy that she talks about literally used this bike to bring his family out of poverty. He went and got a job, and then eventually later, like they got a home because of this bike that they would not have had they not found free bikes for kids. So again, this is another video that doesn't talk about events, products, services, location space. This is a story that focuses and was told through Christy, right? And so this video was a little bit shorter. It was like 2.5 minutes. So this was more for the grant application, but they also posted it like on front page of their website and on socials to kind of get more attention. So the next video that I want to show you is for a nonprofit called Little John's. There's 2 shorts, like 1.5-minute videos that I want to show you. The first one is highlighting a specific part of their programming. Like they do a lot of stuff in the community, but this is just a focus on one aspect of their programming. So let me share this one with you. This one. Okay.
There you go. Thank you and enjoy. Got it? Oh, and thank you so very much. You have a blessed rest of the day. There are people in our community who are food challenged. There are also people in our community that are maybe older and difficult for them to prepare their meals. So this gives them the opportunity to have a good, nutritious meal. Enjoy.
Have a good meal. Well, I'm sure it'll be good.
It will.
We haven't had a bad one yet.
Oh, good to hear. On the first and third Tuesday of the month, between 3:30 and 4:30, it is set up here at the corner of Main Street and Netherwood. And people just drive up and we ask them how many meals they would like today. And we give them the meal, and quite often people will make a donation. How are you today? Good. How many? 4? All right. So important because, as all of us know, nutrition and good quality food is so important for our health.
Okay, so that video was one that was specifically created for social media. That's why it was a little bit shorter. You notice that this is another way to do video where you're still protecting your clients or your customers' faces, right? Nobody's face was shown, but I was still able to go to the scene and just shoot basically like really close, tight shots of meals being delivered to them, money being exchanged. So you can still showcase the actual things happening without giving away people's identity. So I just wanted to point that out for people that do work in nonprofits where it's hard to kind of capture that. There are ways around it. You'll also notice that she was a volunteer. This was no staff member, and we didn't show obviously any of the clients. So you can, your character that you focus on in the stories can be anybody who you think can drive this story home and deliver it, right? It doesn't have to be a staff member, like she was just a volunteer. The other thing, if you're trying to capture events like this, going off tripod and getting action shots is a very visually appealing way to do things. So I've noticed that, like, even when I was in news, there's a very different way to shoot a news story versus a story like this, where you're kind of like advertising and marketing for a nonprofit business. Like, making sure people's eyes continue to move on the screen will keep them drawn in the entire time. So having the action shots going off your tripod and then keeping the microphone on the people that are doing the action so you can capture the interactions. I don't know if the audio was loud enough for you guys to hear, but you could hear her speaking and the client and the person in the car speaking back about like, oh, we've never had a bad meal yet. You want to be able to capture those moments because those moments not only help with the flow of the story, but it gives some sort of like affirmation of the work that they're doing and the message they're trying to give. When you're not just hearing, you know, a volunteer member or a staff member saying, yeah, we're great, this is all the stuff we do. Like, you're actually hearing it from people who are not scripted. Like, this is actually happening. They actually said this. And it just gives more like transparency and authenticity to your video as well. So the next video that I want to show you is also from Little John's, and this is a different type of video than what I've shown you before. So this one was scripted, and I'll kind of explain why we did it this way after I show you. So let me actually, before I say that, this was again, this was to also help them fundraise. So I had been making videos for Little John's for like the first year that I was in business, and helped them raise, like, I think they got to like 3.5 mil with a video that I produced for them every single week, sharing these types of stories. So this one, I wanted to do something a little bit different, just to kind of differentiate from that interview style. And this one is them looking directly into the camera, so directly at their audience that they're trying to appeal to. So I'm going to pull that video up for you right now and have you just watch. It's only about a minute and 5 seconds.
My friend looks like your neighbor.
They walk around with a smile on their face every day,
pretending that everything's okay.
My friend doesn't want you to know the struggle they face.
Just to meet a basic human need every day.
But they're just like you.
But they're just like you.
But they're just like you.
Sometimes my friend just needs a helping hand.
They don't deserve less than the rest of us.
They don't deserve to be treated less than the rest of us.
But my friend is in trouble right now.
My friend is in trouble right now.
My friend is fighting to survive.
To feed their family.
To feed themselves.
More than 12% of all people in Dane County are food insecure.
18% of them are children.
Our children.
Our children.
The majority of people don't even realize how big of a problem this is.
Help us get the word out.
Help us get the word out.
Help us get the word out.
Let us be their help.
Let us be their hope.
Let us be their hope.
Okay, so a little bit different than what I've been showing you, right? Not interview style, they're looking directly at the camera. The reason that sorry, my computer freaked out for a second. So they're looking straight into the camera, and I did this because of the messaging that was behind it. This was a kind of a more creative project. It was scripted. So when you're doing scripts, or at least when I'm working with clients on scripts, I'll have them kind of write something that a message that they want to get across, and then I will help them write a script that sounds more conversational on camera, because a lot of the times when people write, they do not write how they talk, and we're not taught to write how we talk. But because of my news background and script writing, like, we were trained to rewire the way that we write, so that when we're reading, a teleprompter on camera, it doesn't sound like we're reading. And that's exactly what I wanted to portray in this video. Like, I wanted to make it seem like they were all just saying this and speaking from the heart. So oftentimes I'll tell nonprofits, like, please don't use a script. It comes off as very inauthentic, except if you tweak it in a way that sounds conversational. So the way that we wrote this script is everybody was reading the exact same 60-second script. Everyone read every single line. And then in the editing process, I just picked and pulled sound bites and played Tetris with it to see who I wanted to say what, how I wanted to kind of piece it together. Having people repeat lines that I felt were a little more hard hitting, and basically put together a little montage video of sound bites that delivered the message of this script. So that's just kind of like another.
So what's the high for today?
That's just another creative way that you can create a video. It had emotion in it, where they were saying, like, this is. Sorry, somebody's mic is on. Where they were talking about the emotion behind why they're doing what they're doing. Like, my friend, your friend, like, this is people that we know in the community. They also gave a little bit of information about how many people in Dane County are actually food insecure. So in 60 seconds, they packed in a lot of information. And it was a very quickly edited way to do that. So I just wanted to show you that, because that's like a kind of a creative way that you can also go about your videos. Okay, last video that I want to show you is the one that I said was not for necessarily like a nonprofit. So they're actually a for-profit business. And to give you just a little bit of a story behind why I did this video for them. So if you guys remember, like, I think it was like a month or two ago that we had like this tornado warning in Madison, and there was severe weather, and then that fire broke out and burnt that building on Park Street. So this business was one of several that obviously like burned down and lost everything. a lot of the organizations there had, they created GoFundMe accounts where they were able to raise like $10,000 plus. Except for this one, they created a GoFundMe and there was not a whole lot of donations. So this is a Latino-owned family business, and they kind of needed a little bit of help sharing their story as to make people care and want to give. I don't think they're a very big company, which is maybe why they didn't get a lot of traction when they made their GoFundMe. So I created this video for them to not only help them share the story of their business, but share the story of what happened to them to try to make people care. So I'm going to share this video with you.
Don't personally know what happened 100%. I found out from my dad. It was a Friday night, and I called him just to check in. He says, "Hey, I can't talk right now. The building's on fire, shop's on fire." So by the time he showed up, the whole shop was on fire. You couldn't go in. And so the only thing that we were able to salvage was our tow trucks. Losing everything else, tools, cars, all that stuff was just it's just you feel defeated after that. So he started the company about 6 years ago. You know, you're trying to make something out of yourself and work hard and try to do the right thing, and then stuff like this happens. It's like the energy that we had is depleted, honestly. It's just like I mentioned, my dad's been putting in the work for, you know, X amount of time. For a while, it's just a one-man operation. And growing up, you see your dad, he's a role model, working hard, putting in the work, making money, providing for the family. And then stuff like this happens. It's tough seeing a lot of the work you put in just be worth nothing, right? It's like you wasted 5 years of your life. A lot of the cars that were in there were customer cars. Because we were renting here and we didn't own the location, I think that the insurance does not see that as something that would be covered under the insurance that we had for the business. So a GoFundMe primarily is to help, not so much for myself, just more for the mechanics who also work here, that we worked alongside with them. It's like they need an income, they have kids, they have family, right? And then secondly, replace the tools that were lost and the equipment that was lost in the fire. You know, things happen. The only thing you can do, or at least what we would do, what we are doing, is just moving forward and continue to work, continue to help people, continue to run the business as best we can at this point without having an actual shop.
Okay, so I mostly show you that video because of simply the storytelling angle, right? Like I know that a lot of people here are not for profits, but that story again shows it, put a face to the business, and so it's not just a GoFundMe with just a picture of the fire. Like you have someone to relate to, right? Like you're hearing the story of how this business even came to be. This is the American dream for this Hispanic family who came to the United States, started this business, and then lost everything in a fire. To make you feel something, right? Like we did this interview on the spot. You know, there's no script involved. You can see the tears in his eyes as he's talking about what this business means to him and how they just wanted to help the community. And so my point with that is having someone who can show that type of emotion on camera. Like I know a lot of people don't do videos because they're camera shy, but when you can be vulnerable on camera like this, like you can touch a lot of hearts and you can relate to a lot of people. So this guy is not someone who, you know, loves being in front of the camera. Like he even told me, like, I really don't like to do this, but I do know how effective it can be to see someone, you know, kind of lay their heart out and share what this business means to them, what your nonprofit means to you, what your nonprofit means to a client. Like doing testimonials like this is like, it's can be the biggest difference maker when you're trying to get more awareness out about your organization. And also just the sound bites that I chose. Like he's not talking about like what is my family going to do? Like he's talking about like when you donate to our GoFundMe, like this is for the mechanics that work for us that are now without a job, that like live paycheck to paycheck. Like we're trying to make it so that they can stay afloat, and he wants to continue helping the community. So that was just a good example to show you like how you can create emotion in a story. Okay, I want to go back to my PowerPoint to kind of get you guys through the rest of storytelling techniques. So let me pull that up for you. Okay. Okay, that was that. Okay, so quick notes on story structure that I kind of mentioned a little bit as I was playing these videos for you. So the start and end of a story should be your best soundbite. So, you know, we saw that. I kind of talked about that with the Free Bikes for Kids one. The first soundbite, like I said, should reel you in. The last one should really wrap up the tone of your video. And this takes practice, logging, and playing around with the final soundbite. So kind of playing Tetris with your soundbites. When I worked in news, the way that we did this and were able to create a story structure is that we literally typed out every single soundbite that we got in an interview, and then just picked and pulled which ones we wanted to use. And then literally, like I said, played Tetris with the sound bites until we found a structure that worked. So that's another way that you guys can do it. It's a little bit more time consuming, especially if you're not like well practiced in how to create a story, but it is very, very helpful if you're trying to tell an impactful story, seeing every single soundbite written out and not just in audible. So that's a really good way to kind of help you structure that. And just on the importance of video, I mentioned this at the beginning, but I know that there's some people that hopped in that kind of missed what I said about that. In the age of social media where video is everything, where, you know, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Reels are so popular, and that's where people spend a lot of their time. Like, this is how you get your business out there, right? You can't win if you don't play, is what I say. So you want to make sure that you're putting videos out there that at least help brand and market and share these stories that people otherwise would not know about. But not only does it need to be just, you can't just throw video out there, because then you're just lost in the abyss of the millions of videos that are out there on the internet, but it needs to be good. It needs to be shareable and relatable. You have to make people want to watch. So hopefully by showing you some examples, that kind of gives you some ideas of how you can do that. Okay, now some tips for creating good videos. Like I said, put the good stuff at the beginning. The human attention span is 8 seconds, if that. And then don't forget to add layers. So when I say this, I mean that every shot should be different. Every sentence should be new information. So I reference news a lot because that really taught me all my storytelling skills. But in news, we would, you know, come up with a story, and we are given 2 minutes at the most on air to be able to tell a story of what happened. And so if our script was longer than 2 minutes and we handed it to the producer, they'd be like, we need you to cut 30 seconds. And when you've spent all this time, you know, picking out sound bites and trying to do all this work to organize a story structure, that's really hard to cut out 30 seconds of sound. So just make sure that every single sentence needs to be there. There's no repeated sound bites. There's no repeated information. Like, every single second has to matter to the story. And then keep things personal, you know, cut out the fluff, kind of like I just mentioned. Your video does not need to have everything about your organization in it. And that's what a lot of people are like, oh, well, I want this in there and I want this in there. It doesn't need all that. It just needs to be a focused story to make people want to know more, to lead people to your website, to get all that additional information. Again, I'm going to reference news. We left the what I call the boring information to the anchors to read. And then the story of it would be the emotional stuff, things that other people cannot replicate in their own words. That soundbite has to have come from that person. So what I mean by that is when you're giving stats or general information that is not emotive, save that for like the caption of the video and not put it in the video itself, or save it for your website and not putting it in the video itself. That 2 minutes of video is very important, and you want to make sure you're using your time wisely with information that, like I said, doesn't have the same tone or message, even if it's written out in writing on a page, etc. And then, like I mentioned earlier, try not to stick to a script, or if you do, just make sure that you are reading and rewriting and re-editing to make it sound conversational. You want to be able to read the script to somebody and make them believe that you are not reading something. And then keep them short. Like I said, people's attention spans are essentially non-existent. So make sure you keep your videos nice and short. Okay, so say that you have this great video now. Now you just need a little bit of strategy. So I'm going to just walk through 3 social media platforms where videos tend to do really well. So just on Facebook, when you're posting your videos, make sure you choose a good thumbnail. Like I said in the beginning of this presentation, showing a face is more likely to get interaction than showing a product or service or a thing. Like I said, people relate to people. And make sure you include social captioning. You want to make sure that you're appealing to 2 different groups of people when you're doing this. One, the people who are watching videos on silent when they're not supposed to be watching videos. So you want to make sure that when they're reading the caption of the video, like say you're in a meeting, you're just looking at your phone, you want to make sure that people still get the gist of your video without any sound. They can still read what's happening, and by the end of it playing, they know the entire story without ever having listened to it. And 2, you want to make sure that the people who are deaf or hard of hearing can also listen to your story as well. So make sure you include social captioning. And then an attention grabbing caption. So I'm going to give you kind of a bad example of a caption on Facebook. So that would be like, check out this video showing our founder's startup story. Your caption should still be emotional and emotive as well. Just saying, check out this video doesn't give me any reason to watch. It gives me no clue as to what I'm about to invest my time in. So that's kind of a bad example. This is a better example. I'm not saying it's the best in the world, but it's better and more attention grabbing. Many of you see what we do, but most people don't know why. The story of our business started from rough beginnings, and like any good story, this one has twists, turns, heartbreak, and triumph. A true underdog story that will leave you both surprised and inspired. So that gives people some sense of like wonder, like, what am I about to watch? What is this about? Like, it gives us a little bit more reason to want to invest our time into this. Okay, and then the difference between Facebook and YouTube. So Facebook videos, this is really applying to all like social media, but it really should be around 30 to 60 seconds. Like I said, people's attention spans are short, but also the algorithms love shorter videos. They get shared more, they get watched more. YouTube, you can probably get away with posting a little bit longer videos. So if you have like, a social media version that leads to like your YouTube channel, YouTube will be more accustomed to the longer format. And like I said, you can always get them hooked with that shorter video on social and then be like, click on our YouTube link to watch the full story. And then there's Instagram. So general rule is still 30 to 60 seconds, like I said, but on Instagram and TikTok, the shorter, the better. So 15 seconds, remember, this is just to hook people. And then you can lead them to YouTube, website, whatever. And then videos should be formatted a little bit differently on Instagram because most people are on Instagram on their phones. And a lot of people for Facebook, it really differs. A lot of people are on their desktops or their phones. So, but Instagram, you want to make sure that it's reformatted for mobile devices. And then if you must post this on Instagram, make sure you're doing it on Instagram TV because there's like a longer time limit for the videos that are posted there. All right, and then tips during and after posting. So this is, social media algorithms are always changing, and social media is such a beast, but to make sure that the most eyes will be watching this video, you want to make sure that you're consistently posting up until the video actually gets posted. Because if you're non-active on any of these social media channels and then you just randomly post a video, like it's not going to show it to a lot of people because the algorithm knows that you're not active online. So make sure that if you know a video is coming, make sure you increase your algorithm likelihood that more people will see this by continuously posting up until the day and after you post that video. Use hashtags, boost your post. Tell people to like, comment, and share, especially within your organization. The more likes and shares and comments that you have on the video, the more people it's going to be shown to. And then obviously keep it personal, emotive, authentic, and conversational. And that is that for my presentation. Information is down at the bottom, but I also included my contact info in the chat box as well for you guys. So that's all from me.
Yeah, does anybody have any follow-up questions for Jamie?
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
Hey, Jamie. So you talked about at the beginning, like how important it is to have like a call to action, and those first two videos didn't really have a call to action. Is it because where they were being used?
Yeah. So like the Geo's Garden one, it was at a fundraising event. So obviously the point is to fundraise them. And the Free Bikes for Kids video was really made for the grant application. So it didn't necessarily need like, give me the grants. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was really just to make people care. And then they posted it on their website just so that when people went to their website and that's the first thing they saw, like I said, you want to make it as easy as possible for people to understand what it is you do without them having to work for it, right? Without them having to scroll down or search through all your tabs to figure out who you are and what you do. Like putting that on the front page, that's the first thing people see, like make it as easy as possible. So that's why. Otherwise, if you're posting it on social, in the caption, you know, if you're trying to get donations, you're trying to hire people, whatever your call to action is, you can put that in the caption.
I have a question. Yeah, I was just kind of curious. So be curious to kind of hear how, you know, you mentioned that attention spans obviously are getting shorter and shorter as time goes on, and you know we call it the TikTokification of social media, even on Facebook and Instagram and all the other ones. The shorter the video, the more important it is. But to post more videos but shorter videos is often a better strategy than posting one long video and just letting it stay for a long time. But at the same time, working with companies that are on, tend to be on smaller budgets, how do you balance the need for more videos and more content with the expense of going out and shooting on site? And, because making videos is an expensive endeavor, and just kind of curious, how do you get the most out of, your budget and your approach?
So, depending on who you hire out, or if you have your own in-house videographer, that would be the best, probably most cost effective if you had your own in-house, but I understand that not everybody does. So there are package deals that you can work out and just be like, I want this longer video, but do you think you could also splice it up into little individual segments? So they're using the same B-roll, they're using the same interview, so they don't have to go out and do extra work to shoot. They just kind of utilize the same stuff to post on Facebook or Instagram to tease to the longer video. So that's kind of one way. But the other way is either shooting it yourself with some of the tips that I taught you here, or just having your own in-house person that can take those videos and splice them down into smaller, more digestible segments.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had a question in the chat here. Can you quickly tell us how to get captions on videos?
Yes. So when you are on your business page and you go to post in the Meta Business Suite, it actually walks you through certain steps before you're even able to post. And one of them is I forget what the actual thing is, but it's video optimization or video turn on captioning, and you just click that button and it'll automatically generate captions for you.
I just had to Google the stat, but it was 92% of social media video views are done without sound on. So
yep.
Captions are important.
Captions are very important. Yes.
Interesting. Well, I guess I would have an accounting type question, which would be what sort of budget should a nonprofit plan for if this is something that they want to explore? Not to put you directly on the spot, but give people a range of maybe something so that they can anticipate it. It's, I don't want people to get sticker shock per se and not call you just to get information, but in the same breath, it costs what it costs. So why not talk about it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know that that's a major barrier as to why a lot of people don't do videos. So that's a completely justified question. It really, really depends on who you're working with. There are some video organizations here that will not take a project less than $10,000 as a minimum. I don't charge that, but there is, as any business, they have overhead to pay. They have employees to pay. The equipment to do this is not cheap. So they have a lot of overhead. I work out of my home, so I don't have the overhead of a studio space or rent. And I don't have any employees. It's just for me. So because of that, my prices are automatically going to be lower. But I will also tell people, like, something that I feel very, very strongly about is you will get what you pay for in terms of a videographer. If you're looking to spend a couple $100s, you're probably going to get a college kid that has no idea what they're doing. So I've had people come up to me and ask me if I would take $200 for a 7-minute video in like several days of my time. And like, I just would say that I would just caution people that if you are not willing to devote your time and energy into your job for that little of pay, then don't necessarily expect a videographer to do the same either, because you're not just paying for them bringing equipment, you're paying for the storytelling skills as well. Like, these are things that take years and years to learn. So in terms of budget, I would say budget between $3 to $7 grand. It really varies depending on who you're working with and their circumstances. So $3 to $7 grand for a couple minutes of video and a day or two of shooting.
Maybe we'll make this the last question. Good morning, Jamie. I'm curious if you have any recommendations as to where a person new in video making can start playing around with the editing and creation.
So there is obviously like professional editing software. So I use Adobe Premiere Pro. And that's like not a bad option. It's not very expensive, but there's also free options as well. I mean, I don't recommend this ever, but I did start on iMovie. Like, that's where, like, long time ago, I did get my start on iMovie. So that's very, very basic editing. But also Canva has editing abilities as well. And I don't think you need the pro version to do it. So I would play around with the Canva stuff, because like they have some pretty good stuff on there that's a little bit more than basic. So that's a great way to learn too.
Great. Well, Jamie, I want to thank you so much for your time this morning. We'll get you a list again of the people on the call today so that you can follow up with them accordingly. Ann Michaels, you're our Amazon gift card winner. So April will be sending you a link to that at some point this week. And this was our last Breakfast with Benefits for this cycle. We go September and then every other month after that for about 5 or 6 presentations. So we'll be sending around a survey to those of you who have attended in the past and get some feedback on format and ideas for presenters for the future. And we'll get that out for the next cycle here this summer at some point. So thanks again, Jamie. Thanks to everybody for your time, and hope to see you all down the road. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.